Listing a handful of trade ideas that we're going to kick around. First up, a great idea from David Carr. Tyreek to the Patriots. New England has admirably, well, thank you, David, overhauled the offense this season, and Hill would continue that trend by giving Josh McDaniels a guy who can elevate his attack. What the heck? To the next level due to his speed and field stretching ability. Like it? I love it. I don't like it. This is a big opportunity for you to do a lot of those.
Okay. What? Thanks, Wild.
Well, if I was gonna do it, you just spoiled it.
Shoot, I didn't know.
Can I sincerely, would you like this?
No.
I didn't think so.
No, I'm about football. You can only diss the quarterback. Look, if you're an unbelievable wide receiver, I think you get when you sign your contract, okay? You sit there, you sign the contract, and you're unbelievable. You're Justin Jefferson, you're top of the field. And they should give you like 2 cards. They're like, hey, if you want to publicly diss the quarterback, just give me one of these or give them to the press officer before, and we'll just turn a blind eye to it. Yeah. He's done it like 8 times.
So that's why because listen, I think Tyreek Hill would work great with the Chiefs. Again, even though he's not the player he once was, I think he would, for a brief period of time, work really well with the Bills. I think eventually, he could maybe do 1 year in Buffalo and then be like, just because the market, Kansas City, it's not like Kansas City, Buffalo might as well be the same markets for if you're a superstar NFL player. But the difference is he has roots in Kansas City, you know what I mean, and history there.
And,
right.
Highlight show.
Right. And I'm not trying to diss Buffalo in that regard. If I were the Patriots, even though I think you guys desperately do need more talent at receiver, I think, and that's why I was curious your answer, I think this would be a disaster. I think that bringing in Tyreek Hill somewhere where, for this year, I think you would agree, he has no chance of winning a championship. It is going to be a learning, learn a new offense, learn a new quarterback. Drake May, while a stronger arm than Tua, is probably... Year 2 Drake May is probably the worst quarterback Tyreek Hill will have had, other than backups. You know what I mean? Because Tua with him worked. Mahomes obviously worked. Hell, Alex Smith with him was quite good. All of that to me speaks Tyreek being, not that happy. Maybe a handful. He already has, as you mentioned, a laundry list of a weird offseason. So I just think the Pats are a bad fit for Tyreek.
How many years does he have left on this deal?
Well, it's really, if he were to be traded, it would become year to year, is the thing. You know what I mean? Because the guaranteed money would go to the Dolphins.
So you don't like it, I don't like it. I love it! Especially when it's year to year.
God,
that's what, look, if you would have told me he had 4 years left on this deal, I'd be like, y'all, he's going to act up. 1 year, if you want to get paid again,
I like that.
Guess what? You better ball. And he was great for young quarterbacks in Patrick.
Yeah.
Great for Tua.
Point.
Drake has got talent. Yeah. And you give him somebody like Tyreek, who, like David Carr said, spreads the floor. You still, I guess, would you still have Diggs?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, give the dudes, you giving him some major weapons. He showed a lot of promise last year, Drake. I like it.
All right.
Okay. I'm going to go back and forth on this one. It's an interesting, I think on one side it's really easy to say yes and it's really easy to say no. But they haven't really unpacked the whys of both, quite frankly, which I'm kind of surprised. Nick kind of just went and just kept meandering about the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs, and it's like, all right, who cares about that? Nobody cares. But it was interesting that Alex Smith had a lot of success with Tyreek Hill. It's weird, interesting. Anyway, but with regards to this, also the year to year is a little bit somewhat confusing to me. I'm not entirely sure in terms of year to year, as in he'll have the freedom to go somewhere else after if he goes to New England, or I'm not entirely sure what exactly they meant, and I'm just not going to dig too deep into the Tyreek Hill contract situation and how the trade would work, because also it's if you trade, what do you have to give up right? So how much would Miami want? That's already a big thing right there. What do they have to give up? If they don't have to give up much, if it's one of those random trades where they're like, dude, they got him for like a 5th round pick or something, or or something ridiculous, you're like, yeah, totally, let's pull a flyer. But to me, the way how I operate is just like, I got to look at the Patriots and I got to look at the culture that they have and the culture that they're looking to build. And how does Mike Vrabel feel about this? How does what is the vision that Mike Vrabel is looking to build in New England? That's where I start first and foremost. And if we believe that we can bring in someone like a Tyreek Hill, even if it's just for 1 year, and the true core, the people that really understand what the Patriots are all about, and it's going to be part coaching staff, it's going to be obviously Drake May, it's going to be a couple other, miscellaneous players. Like, it's not always the easiest to point out who exactly that is. For the Chiefs, it was Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and Kelsey, right? It was like, this is the core. If other players are kind of upset that we're getting this player for just a year and moving on, it doesn't really matter, because I don't know how long those other players are going to be around, quite frankly. So you got to figure out what is your true core and what is like the player inner circle that Mike Vrabel has, right? Like that's a real thing, and you kind of build off from there. How do you feel about bringing someone like that into the building? Because the reality is on paper, on the field, you can have a lot of success, absolutely. But he's increasingly getting banged up. He's increasingly having we'll just say issues, okay? And I'll just leave it at that. And considering where the Patriots are coming from, what they had been post Brady, we don't have to go much further back than that. And then just the first year with Drake May, it's just, You're trying to get your footing back. You're trying to get a foundation. You're trying to build something special for the next 5-10 years. You're not thinking about just this year. Now, to be fair, I think having someone like as great as a Tyreek Hill can help the development to a degree with Drake May, because you'll be able to make certain passes that you maybe normally can't. So I do think I kind of go back and forth on this a little bit, but I do think there is something to be said about having great wide receivers to help develop the quarterbacks. It's not so much, I push back on the notion that like a wide receiver like made a quarterback, but I look at it more as like there's a little bit more opportunity for a quarterback to potentially grow, because if you don't have wide receivers that can make certain types of plays, catch 50-50 balls, run certain routes, whatever it may be, then like your quarterback just won't get to practice, whether it's in game or in actual practices, that type of brand of football. And I think it's fair if you let's put it in like the dumbest way possible, which is not even like a real example, but it's like if you don't have a wide receiver who can catch balls greater than 15 yards away, well, then your quarterback's not going to be able to throw footballs greater than 15 yards away. And again, that's a made up example, but I just think it paints like a very clear picture. And so that is some of the benefits that you can have to bringing in a Tyreek Hill, but I'm not so sure that he's that guy there, that you can't get like 95% of it. Maybe you can't get someone who can catch 15 yards away, but you can have someone that catches 12, 13, 14 yards away. And you know what? That's pretty good right now. That's good enough to keep the Drake May development going. If that is going to be his trajectory as an NFL quarterback. So I don't know if that's like the big, like, dude, you bring in Tyreek Hill, it's just like on the field, man, it's nothing but benefits. And I'm like, yeah, to a degree. But then the cons, it's just it's the conversation that people always talk about. Do the pros outweigh the cons? Do the pros outweigh out the cons? What do you have to give up? And yeah, he wants to compete, and yeah, he wants that contract and this or that, but it's just like, I don't know. Sometimes it's just like, it's just not worth it to deal with it, honestly. And if you think that you're actually building something and it's going to maybe take you a minute or two, you don't try to get a Tyreek Hill to shortcut it. I think you see teams do that plenty of times where they just see like, hey, we're actually going to be pretty good this year. Let's like really take a big risk, or let's really kind of take a flyer on someone who's like, maybe not be the best locker room fit, but like, hey, we can do some damage. And it almost never works out very well, honestly. And so I don't know, considering where the Patriots are coming from, I'm just not so sure you want to deal with that. New coach, young quarterback, new offensive coordinator. Obviously, these are all experienced coaches and whatnot, but I don't know. I just don't know if it's the most necessary thing right now. But at the same time, if you feel as though that you have the culture and the team in place and enough of enough of high quality guys in the locker room, and you talk to Drake May and you see the maturity of him, and you kind of understand, hey, Tyreek Hill is not going to be a Patriot as long as you. And, you know, this is Mike Vrabel talking. And, like, he's not going to be as a Patriot as long as me. Best case scenario, he's gone in, like, 5 years, maybe less. I got to have to take a look at his age exactly. Like, it's not like he's going to be here for 10 years. If all goes to plan, me and you, me, Drake May, you, Mike Vrabel, like, we're going to be here for the next 15 years. So it's like, this is, like, essentially a rental. He is going to be a short flash in the pan. And we have to understand that as we move forward. And you know, is this something that we believe that we can kind of do? Like, it really is just becomes the definition of a business transaction. And so I think it's a conversation. I think if the price point is good enough and you think that you have the culture in place, the maturity in the locker room in place, then you can go for it. If Mike Vrabel already has a vision of what he's building and he doesn't need any other established, slightly toxic people in the locker room, and he wants to kind of start fresh and bring in new younger players and kind of go from there, or he already has his limit of players that can get a little kind of questionable, like Diggs, for instance, like, you know, then no. So that's why if I'm a GM owner, I'm just like, Mike, it's your call. It's your call, bro. You're the one that's running this locker room. You're the one that's building this culture. It's 100% of you, not anyone else. Honestly, that's like I'm leaving it to the ultimate, you know, leader of that team, the head coach. What do you say? Because I think that's how it would be done. We talk about Kansas City. That's how it's done with Andy Reid. Andy, what do you think? Can you bring in Tyreek Hill into this locker room? Can you deal with him? Can you manage it? How do you think Patrick Mahomes in year one will deal with it? You know, it's like I'm trusting your guidance. Are you a little bit concerned how he will influence your young quarterback or some of the other, you know, playmakers on the field? Like, it's just 100% on him, and that's where I would kind of you know, guide my decisions personally. So, but yeah, I don't know. To on one side, it kind of feels like a Tyreek Hill can only go to a team that's like ready to pop, a team that has a true chance to succeed. So he knows he kind of just has to like fall in line. And if there's any type of adversity, any type of deviation from that, it just feels like it can implode. So yeah. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Tyreek Hill? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.